Right, so you wanted to get into human nature, huh?
Yeah, it's a fascinating topic, isn't it?
Well, we're going deep with Robert Greene's The Laws of Human Nature.
Oh, excellent choice. Greene's work is always thought-provoking.
Have you ever felt like there's this, stranger within controlling you?
Oh, absolutely. It's like a hidden force driving our actions, right?
Exactly. And it's not just us. Sometimes it feels like other people are being controlled by a stranger, too.
Greene says this stranger isn't some mysterious entity, it's actually fundamental aspects of human nature.
Oh, interesting. So it's not some outside force. It's coming from within.
Exactly. And these forces often operate below the surface of our awareness.
Okay, so if we're not even aware of these forces, what's the point of understanding them?
Because understanding them gives us a chance to break free from negative patterns.
Oh, I see. So it's about gaining control over those subconscious impulses.
Exactly. Think about ancient Athens during Pericles' time. Brilliant leaders making decisions that seemed utterly self-destructive.
Yeah, what was up with that?
Well, Greene argues that their deep-seated need for power and attention drove those choices.
So their desire for power and attention overrode their rational thinking.
Precisely. By understanding these underlying forces, we can make choices that are more aligned with our true goals.
So are you saying we're not as rational as we think we are?
Well, Greene challenges the assumption that rationality is inherent.
Interesting.
He sees it as a skill we develop, not a default setting, and he identifies two types of irrationality.
Two types. Okay, tell me more.
First, there's the low-grade kind. These are the everyday emotional reactions that can cloud our judgment.
Like when you get caught up in the excitement of a charismatic leader's speech.
Exactly. You might find yourself passionately defending their ideas.
Yeah, I've been there. But later you realize you hadn't really thought critically about those ideas at all.
That's low-grade irrationality in action. You were swept up in the emotion of the moment.
Makes sense. What about the other type of irrationality?
The high-grade kind, that's where things can get really messy.
Oh, no. How so?
These are intense emotional states that can lead to disastrous decisions.
Like those financial crashes driven by excessive optimism.
Exactly, like the 2008 housing crisis. Everyone thought the good times would roll on forever.
Yeah, and we all know how that turned out.
We let our emotions hijack our better judgment, and it can have serious consequences.
So we need to watch out for those emotional wildfires, especially in situations with high stakes.
Absolutely. And Greene argues that social media can amplify these tendencies.
Oh, for sure. It's like a breeding ground for emotional contagion.
Precisely. But even in our everyday lives, we're constantly falling prey to those sneaky mental traps Greene calls cognitive biases.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, have you ever dug in your heels during an argument, even when you had doubts?
Maybe.
Hmm.
More times than I care to admit.
That's conviction bias in action. The more passionately we defend something, the more we believe it, even if it's not true.
So we convince ourselves we're right, even when we might be wrong.
It's a powerful self-deception technique.
Wow, I never thought of it that way. What's another one of those biases?
How about appearance bias? We judge people based on superficial impressions.
Ah, like those politicians who are all charm and good looks, but their policies are a disaster.
Exactly. We fall for the facade without looking deeper. But speaking of looking deeper, Greene dives into the power of character.
I'm listening. Tell me more about this character thing.
Well, Greene has this law of compulsive behavior. It states that character is formed early in life.
Oh, interesting. So our early experiences shape who we become.
And this can drive us to repeat certain actions and fall into predictable patterns.
So our past is influencing our present, even if we're not aware of it.
And Greene offers some really insightful ways to judge someone's character.
Oh, I like this. Give me the inside scoop.
Observe how they handle adversity, how they adapt to new situations, how they work with others, and how they learn from their mistakes.
So it's not just about their accomplishments. It's about how they handle the tough stuff.
Exactly. Those are the telltale signs of their inner strength and resilience.
I like that. It's like you show your true colors under pressure.
Greene uses Howard Hughes as a captivating example. On the surface, he was this larger-than-life figure.
Oh yeah, the billionaire aviator.
But behind that public image, he was riddled with compulsions and a need for control that led to some spectacular failures.
Like what?
His Spruce Goose, that giant wooden airplane, never really got off the ground. And then there was his ambitious plan for a reconnaissance plane for the military.
Didn't that one turn into a financial disaster?
Huge flop. He never delivered a single plane. The military had to cancel the contract, costing Hughes millions.
Wow, what a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
So recognizing these patterns in others can help us avoid getting entangled in bad situations.
Exactly. It's about seeing beyond the surface and understanding the deeper forces that drive people's behavior.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we develop that X-ray vision to see through people's facades?
Well, that's what we're going to explore in the next part of our deep dive. We'll delve into Greene's insights on how to recognize those hidden patterns, understand the motivations behind people's actions, and ultimately navigate the complexities of human nature with greater awareness and skill.
This is getting good. I can't wait to dive in and learn more about those techniques.
I'm excited to share them with you. Stay tuned and we'll unlock the secrets of human nature together.
So you know how we talked about strategic flattery?
Hmm.
Well, it's got me thinking about this colleague.
Oh.
Lately, they've been like showering me with compliments.
Could be something there.
Yeah, makes you wonder, right?
Could be genuine or
Or maybe they want something, right?
definitely worth paying attention to. See if it feels genuine or a bit calculated.
It's like trust but verify. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Speaking of things that make you wonder,
Yeah.
Greene has this whole section on passive aggression.
Oh, tell me about it.
It really resonated with me.
I've been dealing with a colleague who's, well, let's just say their tactics are a bit underhanded.
Passive aggression. It's fascinating, isn't it?
It's infuriating.
Greene argues it comes from wanting to assert ourselves, but avoiding confrontation at the same time.
So, like, wanting to have your cake and eat it too?
You could say that. It's a way to express anger or resentment, but without, taking responsibility for those feelings.
Ugh. It's like they're playing games with your emotions.
Exactly. And it can be so frustrating because it leaves you feeling confused, like you're doubting your own perceptions.
Oh, totally. Like, you know something's off, but you can't quite put your finger on it.
It can be more insidious than overt aggression because it's so hard to pinpoint.
Yeah, it's sneaky.
Yeah.
So what can you do about it?
Greene outlines a few strategies for dealing with passive-aggressive people.
Wait on me. I need some tips for dealing with this colleague.
First, recognize the patterns. Once you're aware of their tactics, it's harder for them to manipulate you.
Okay, so, like, knowledge is power.
Exactly. Then don't engage in their game. Refuse to get sucked into their tactics.
Don't stoop to their level. Got it. What else?
Most importantly, communicate directly. State your boundaries and expectations clearly.
So don't be afraid to call them out on their behavior.
Within reason, yes. But remember, the goal is to assert yourself, not to escalate the situation.
Okay, so clear communication and firm boundaries. Got it.
If their behavior continues, you might need to distance yourself or limit your interactions with them.
Sometimes you just gotta walk away, right?
Sometimes, yes. It's important to protect yourself from toxic behavior.
Speaking of taking control, I'm curious about how we can channel aggression into something productive.
Yes, turning that raw energy into something constructive.
Exactly. Any tips from Greene on that front?
He emphasizes persistence and resilience. Uses Hannibal as an example.
Hannibal, like the general who crossed the Alps with elephants.
The very same.
Talk about audacious goals.
While Hannibal ultimately faced defeat, his pursuit of his vision shows the power of persistence.
I love that. It's like, you might not win every battle, but you never give up on the war.
It's that unwavering commitment to your goals, that relentless drive to overcome obstacles.
Even when faced with seemingly insurmountable challenges, right?
Right. And that brings us back to practical grandiosity.
Oh yeah, I remember that term. Remind me what that's about again.
It's about focusing on ambitious yet achievable goals. It's about finding fulfillment through mastery.
So it's not about, like, conquering the world or anything.
Not necessarily. It's about setting realistic goals that align with your passions and talents.
And then putting in the work to achieve them, right?
Exactly. Dedication, focus, continuous improvement.
This makes me think about my career. I've been feeling a bit stagnant. Maybe I need to reevaluate my goals.
Self-reflection is crucial. Ask yourself, what truly excites me? What am I passionate about?
Yeah, I need to reconnect with that inner fire, that drive to achieve something meaningful.
Greene suggests starting by identifying your deepest interests and values, what truly matters to you.
It's like creating a compass to guide your journey.
Precisely. Then you can start to develop a life philosophy that aligns with your values and aspirations.
Okay, that sounds like a good starting point. I'm ready to dig deeper and see what I uncover.
Excellent. Self-discovery is an ongoing journey, and I'm excited for you to embark on this next chapter. Now, speaking of journeys, let's shift gears and talk about navigating the complexities of power and authority.
Ooh, that's a juicy topic.
Yeah.
I'm always fascinated by the dynamics of power. Who has it? How do they get it? How do they use it?
Greene argues that we often have a negative bias toward authority figures.
Yeah, we tend to see them as controlling or power hungry.
But he challenges us to see authority in a different light. He suggests that when exercised effectively, authority can actually be a force for good.
So it's not inherently bad.
Not necessarily. It's about how it's wielded. He uses Queen Elizabeth I as an example.
Oh, the Virgin Queen. She was a powerful figure in history.
She inherited a very tumultuous throne, underestimated by many who saw her as a weak woman.
But she proved them wrong, didn't she?
She was a brilliant strategist and a resilient leader.
She definitely commanded respect. So what can we learn from her approach to authority?
Greene emphasizes the importance of earning respect through actions, not demanding it.
Lead by example, not by force.
Exactly. And it's about showing that you have the best interests of the group at heart.
So being a servant leader, someone who prioritizes the well-being of those they lead.
Precisely. And finally, Greene emphasizes the power of vision. Great leaders inspire with a compelling sense of purpose.
It's about painting a picture of a better future and showing people how we can get there together.
Exactly. Now let's move from the grand stage of history to the more practical realm of everyday interactions.
Okay, I'm ready for some actionable advice. How can I project more authority in my daily life?
Greene suggests developing a calm and composed demeanor. It's about staying cool under pressure and projecting confidence.
So no more freaking out when things get tough.
Right. And speak with clarity and purpose. Avoid rambling. Focus on getting your message across concisely.
So less is more.
In many cases, yes. And remember, actions speak louder than words. Focus on achieving results.
Be a doer, not just a talker. Got it. What else?
Don't forget the human element. Be attentive to the needs of others. Demonstrate empathy. That builds trust.
So it's not about being aloof or detached. It's about connecting with people on a human level.
Exactly. And finally, pay attention to nonverbal cues.
Oh yeah, body language. That's a whole other level of communication, isn't it?
It is. Learn to read those subtle signals and understand the power dynamics at play in any social situation.
It's like becoming a social ninja, reading the room and adapting your behavior accordingly.
Precisely. Now let's shift gears and talk about another crucial aspect of navigating the complexities of human nature: understanding and adapting to change.
Change. It's the one constant in life, isn't it? And it's not always easy to embrace.
Greene uses the term seeing the tide to describe this ability to recognize the forces shaping society.
So it's not just about reacting to change,
Yeah.
but about anticipating it, like seeing the wave before it crashes.
Exactly. He uses Georges Danton, a key figure in the French Revolution, as an example.
Oh, I remember him.
Yeah.
Wasn't he one of the leaders who helped overthrow the monarchy?
Yes. Danton was able to sense the changing mood of the people. He recognized the momentum for radical change and seized the moment.
He was like a surfer, riding the wave of history.
A very apt analogy. So, how do we develop this ability to see the tide?
Yeah, how do we become those social surfers, riding the waves of change instead of getting wiped out by them?
Greene suggests paying attention to emerging trends, new technologies, shifting demographics, evolving values.
So it's about staying informed and keeping our finger on the pulse of cultural change.
Exactly. And be willing to question conventional wisdom. What worked in the past may not work in the present or future.
It's about being adaptable, willing to embrace new ways of thinking and doing things.
And connect with the aspirations and frustrations of your generation.
So understand what's driving people, what they're striving for, what they're pushing back against.
Precisely. It's about understanding your place in history and the forces shaping your collective experience.
Wow, this is really making me think about the bigger picture, the larger forces that are shaping our world.
And now let's turn to a topic that's essential for living a full and meaningful life: confronting our own mortality.
Okay, that's a heavy topic.
Yes.
Why is it so important to think about death? It seems a bit morbid, doesn't it?
Greene argues that our fear of death actually shapes our relationship with time and our ability to face adversity.
So, like, by acknowledging our mortality, we actually become less afraid of it.
In a way, yes. It allows us to prioritize what truly matters.
Okay, that makes sense. If you know your time is limited, you're less likely to waste it on trivial things.
Precisely. He uses Flannery O'Connor, a writer who continued to work despite a terminal illness, as an example.
She faced death with incredible courage and grace. It's inspiring. So how can we embrace our mortality in a way that empowers us.
Embrace the uncertainty of life. Find peace in the midst of chaos. Find meaning in your limited time.
So live each day to the fullest, knowing that it could be your last.
In a sense, yes. And approach challenges with courage and resilience, knowing that adversity can lead to growth.
It's about finding the strength to keep going, even when things get tough.
Exactly. And now let's explore another powerful force, aggression.
Aggression, huh? Isn't that always a bad thing?
Not necessarily. Greene argues that aggression is a neutral force. It can be channeled for both good and bad.
So, like fire. It could be used to cook food or burn down a house.
Precisely. He gives examples of both healthy and unhealthy expressions of aggression.
Give me an example of the healthy kind.
Think of the aggression that fuels our ambition, drives us to achieve our goals.
Like that competitive spirit that pushes us to excel.
Exactly. But then there's the aggression that leads to violence, manipulation, exploitation.
That's the kind of aggression we see in bullies and dictators.
He uses John D. Rockefeller, a ruthless businessman, as an example.
Oh yeah, the oil tycoon. Wasn't he known for his cutthroat tactics?
While his achievements were remarkable, his methods often crossed ethical lines.
It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition.
It's a reminder that we need to temper our aggression with ethical considerations. So how do we manage this powerful force within us?
Yeah, that's the key question. How do we use our aggression for good without letting it control us?
Greene suggests channeling our aggression into productive pursuits.
So like working out, playing sports, writing a novel, building a business.
Those are all great examples. It's about redirecting that energy towards something constructive.
And what about the unhealthy kind of aggression? How do we deal with that?
Greene emphasizes recognizing and countering passive-aggressive behavior in others. That can be a major trigger for our own aggression.
It's like they're pushing your buttons, trying to get a rise out of you.
Exactly. And it's important to develop emotional intelligence and self-control so we don't react impulsively.
It's about staying calm and collected, even when someone is trying to provoke you.
Exactly. Now let's delve into a common struggle, irrationality.
Oh boy, I think we've all been there. Why are we so prone to irrationality, even when we know better?
Greene argues that despite our belief in our own rationality, we're often driven by unconscious biases.
So we're not as logical as we think we are?
Not always. He suggests that rationality is a skill we need to develop, not something we're born with.
So it's like a muscle. We need to exercise it regularly to make it stronger.
He explores two types of irrationality, low grade and high grade.
Okay, break it down for me. What's the difference?
Low-grade irrationality is about those everyday emotional reactions, like getting swept up in the excitement of a charismatic leader's speech.
Oh yeah, we talked about that before. It's easy to get caught up in the moment and lose your critical thinking skills.
Then there's high-grade irrationality, which is more intense. Think financial crises fueled by unbridled optimism.
Like when everyone thought housing prices would just keep going up forever.
Exactly. That collective delusion led to a disastrous collapse.
So how do we become more rational? How do we keep our emotions from hijacking our decision-making?
Greene offers several strategies. Recognize your emotional biases and develop strategies to counter them.
So like knowing your triggers and having a plan for how to deal with them.
Precisely. Cultivate a healthy skepticism towards your own beliefs. Be willing to question your assumptions.
Don't be afraid to challenge your own thinking. Got it. What else?
Learn to distinguish between facts and opinions. This is especially important in today's world of information overload.
So much myth information out there. It's hard to know what to believe sometimes.
It is. And finally, practice mindfulness. This will help you observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment.
Mindfulness. That's a recurring theme, isn't it? It seems to be helpful for so many challenges.
It's a powerful tool for self-awareness and emotional regulation. It allows you to create space between your emotions and your actions so you're not just reacting impulsively.
Okay, I'm definitely going to explore mindfulness more. Now let's talk about something we all crave to some extent. Attention.
Ah, yes, the hunger for attention. It's a primal drive that shapes our behavior in countless ways.
Sometimes it feels like everyone's vying for attention these days, especially on social media.
It's true, social media has amplified our craving for attention in many ways. But this need for attention is nothing new. It's a fundamental part of human nature.
So when does that desire for attention become problematic?
When it becomes excessive or distorted, when it leads to self-absorption, envy, a constant need for external validation.
Like those people who are always trying to be the center of attention.
Exactly. Greene used the example of Jeanne des Anges, that 17th century French nun who claimed to be possessed by demons.
I remember you mentioned her story before. It's a pretty wild example of how the craving for attention can manifest in unhealthy ways.
It is. So how do we manage this need for attention in a healthy way?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
We all want to be seen and appreciated, but how do we do it without becoming, attention-hungry monsters?
Greene suggests finding fulfillment through meaningful work and relationships.
So focus on intrinsic rewards rather than external validation.
Precisely. Cultivate a sense of inner worth that's not dependent on the approval of others.
Be comfortable in your own skin and let your true self shine through.
Exactly. Now, let's address a difficult emotion. Envy.
Ugh, envy. It's such an icky feeling. Why is it so hard to admit to feeling envious?
Greene argues that envy stems from comparing ourselves to others and feeling diminished by their successes.
It's like that feeling of inadequacy that creeps in when you see someone else achieving something you desire.
Precisely. He explores how envy manifests, from subtle digs to more destructive forms of sabotage.
It's like that green-eyed monster that can poison your thoughts and relationships.
It can be corrosive. That's why it's important to recognize the signs of envy, both in ourselves and in others.
Okay, so how do we spot envy?
Pay attention to backhanded compliments, poisonous praise, and the evil eye look.
The evil eye? What's that?
It's that look that conveys resentment and ill will. It can make you feel like you're being judged in a negative light.
Oh, I know that look. It's like they're trying to put a hex on you with their stare.
Greene also categorizes different types of enviers, like the leveler, who criticizes high achievers to bring them down.
It's like they're trying to create a world where everyone is mediocre so they don't have to feel bad about their own lack of accomplishments.
Exactly. Recognizing these different faces of envy can help us protect ourselves from its corrosive effects.
So it's about awareness and self-protection.
Yeah.
Got it. What else?
Greene offers strategies for managing envy. Avoid triggering envy in others by not flaunting your successes or bragging about your accomplishments.
Be humble and sensitive to the insecurities of others.
Precisely. And cultivate a sense of abundance. Recognize that there's enough success to go around.
Instead of trying to tear others down, focus on lifting each other up.
Exactly. Now, let's explore another aspect of human nature that can be both positive and negative. Grandiosity.
Grandiosity. Isn't that a good thing?
Yeah.
Don't we need a certain amount of grandiosity to achieve great things?
While often associated with ambition and confidence, grandiosity can lead to downfall when it becomes inflated or distorted.
So it's about finding that sweet spot, that balance between healthy ambition and delusional grandiosity.
He uses the term fantastical grandiosity to describe that exaggerated sense of self-importance.
It's like those people who think they're God's gift to the world.
Precisely. He uses Michael Eisner, the former CEO of Disney, as a cautionary tale.
Oh yeah, didn't he let his ego get in the way of good decision-making?
Eisner's inflated ego and need for adulation led to poor decisions that ultimately hurt the company.
It's a reminder that success can be intoxicating, and that we need to stay grounded even when we're on top.
So how do we avoid the pitfalls of grandiosity?
Yeah, I'm curious about that. How do we stay humble and grounded even as we're striving for success?
Analyze your successes carefully, acknowledge the role of luck and the contributions of others, and practice gratitude.
Don't take all the credit for yourself. Recognize that you didn't get there alone.
Exactly, and stay humble.
Yeah.
Don't let success inflate your ego to the point where it blinds you to reality.
It's about staying grounded, even as you're reaching for the stars.
Now let's dive into a topic that might seem a bit unexpected: gender roles and stereotypes.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How do gender roles fit into Greene's exploration of human nature?
Greene introduces the concept of the animus.
A what?
The anima is our internalized image of the feminine, and the animus is our internalized image of the masculine.
Okay, I'm following so far. But what do those have to do with gender roles?
These images are often shaped by our early childhood experiences. They can profoundly affect our perceptions of romantic partners.
So we're not seeing our partners for who they truly are. We're projecting these idealized images onto them.
Exactly, and these projections can lead to misunderstandings and conflicts.
It's like we're trying to fit our partners into these preconceived boxes based on our own internalized stereotypes.
He identifies some common animus types, like the lovable rebel, who seems free-spirited but turns out to be controlling.
Oh, I know that type. They're all charm and charisma at first, But then their true colors start to show.
Or the professor who seems intellectual and wise, but is actually seeking a mother figure.
It's like you're looking for someone to take care of them emotionally.
By becoming aware of these projections, we can start to see our partners more clearly.
And break free from those negative relationship patterns that keep us stuck.
Exactly. It's about moving toward a more fluid and authentic self.
This is making me think about my own relationships and the roles we play.
Self-awareness is a first step toward creating healthier and more fulfilling connections. But before we go too deep into analyzing our love lives, let's talk about a fundamental human need: the need for purpose.
Okay, purpose. I'm all ears. I think we all crave a sense of purpose in our lives. But what does it actually mean to have a purpose? And how do we find it?
Greene sees finding purpose as an antidote to envy, grandiosity, and the feeling of being lost.
So purpose is like an anchor that keeps us grounded and gives us direction.
He argues that it provides resilience, a deeper sense of self-worth. It gives our lives meaning.
I like that. It's like having a compass that guides you through the ups and downs of life.
He uses Martin Luther King Jr. as an example.
Oh yeah, King's life was all about purpose. His
Yeah.
calling was so deeply intertwined with his desire to make a difference in the world.
Exactly. And despite facing tremendous adversity, his sense of purpose fueled his determination.
He had that unwavering belief in his mission, and it gave him the strength to keep going, even when things were incredibly difficult.
So how do we cultivate this sense of purpose in our own lives?
Yeah, that's the big question. How do we find our calling?
Greene encourages us to develop practical grandiosity.
Practical grandiosity. Wait, didn't we just talk about grandiosity as a bad thing?
Remember, it's about finding that balance. Practical grandiosity is about focusing on challenging yet achievable goals.
So it's about setting ambitious goals, but also being realistic about our capabilities.
Exactly. It's a more grounded and sustainable approach to ambition than getting lost in fantasies of unlimited power.
So set your sights high, but keep your feet on the ground. Got it. What else can we do to cultivate a sense of purpose?
He emphasizes the importance of developing a life philosophy.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What does he mean by that?
It's about connecting to something larger than yourself.
So finding something that gives your life meaning beyond your own personal pursuits.
Precisely. Whether it's a spiritual belief, a social cause, or a creative pursuit. Something that resonates deeply with your values and aspirations.
This is making me think about my own life and what truly matters to me.
Self-reflection is a powerful tool for uncovering your purpose. Take some time to explore your values, your interests, and what brings you joy.
Okay, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the laws of human nature. Feels like we've just scratched the surface.
There's always more to uncover, isn't there?
So much to learn about ourselves and others.
It's a lifelong journey, isn't it? This self-discovery.
So where do we go from here? We've talked about all these forces, but how do we actually, use this knowledge?
Greene doesn't want us to just accumulate knowledge.
Yeah.
He wants us to apply it, right? Use it to navigate the world.
Make better decisions, understand people better, all that.
Exactly. He's giving us tools to understand human nature, to use it strategically.
And he doesn't sugarcoat it either.
Right. He acknowledges those darker aspects.
But he also reminds us that we have a choice.
Right. We can choose how we express our energy.
Like with that example of Rockefeller, using his aggression to build his empire.
Remember, he often did it at the expense of others.
Not exactly an ethical approach, was it?
It highlights the importance of managing our aggression.
So how do we do that? How do we harness that energy for good?
Greene suggests channeling it into productive pursuits.
Like what? Give me some ideas.
Problem solving, pursuing goals.
Okay, so instead of getting angry, use that energy to create something.
Exactly. And remember, passive-aggressive behavior,
Yeah, that's a tough one.
it can trigger our own aggression.
It's like they're trying to get under your skin.
So set boundaries. Don't get sucked in.
And don't forget about emotional intelligence.
Crucial. That self-control helps us express aggression healthfully.
So it's not about suppressing it, it's about managing it.
Now remember rationality.
Oh yeah, that idea that we're not always as rational as we think.
Greene reminds us about those unconscious biases.
Yeah, they can really cloud our judgment.
He wants us to become more aware of them.
And then what? Once we're aware, how do we actually become more rational?
Well, first, question your own beliefs.
Okay, so don't just blindly accept everything you think,
Be skeptical. Consider different perspectives.
even if they challenge your worldview.
Exactly, and learn to separate facts from opinions.
That's so important these days with all the information overload.
And don't forget mindfulness.
Mindfulness again. Seems like it's the answer to everything.
It helps us observe our thoughts without judgment, leading to more rational choices.
Okay, I'm starting to see the connection. Now, what about that court metaphor?
Remember, Green uses that to describe any hierarchical environment.
Like workplaces, social groups, even families, right?
He argues that we need to understand those court dynamics.
To navigate the power struggles, avoid getting caught in the drama,
Exactly. Master the art of indirection.
subtle influence, building alliances, playing the game strategically,
Develop that court sense. Observe those nonverbal cues.
become a master of reading people.
And remember to build alliances, but be wary of envy.
It's a jungle out there. But seriously, these are some great tips for navigating those tricky social situations.
So before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought from Green.
Okay, I'm ready for it.
He writes, "What one does, one will do again. Indeed, has probably already done in the distant past. The agonizing thing in life is that it is our own decisions that throw us into this rut, under the wheels that crush us."
Whoa, that's deep. It's like we're trapped in our own patterns.
But there's hope, right? By becoming aware of these patterns, we can break free.
Choose differently, make new decisions.
We can create a more fulfilling life.
So understanding human nature is about more than just knowledge. It's about empowerment.
It's about using that knowledge to become more conscious, more intentional, and ultimately freer.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive into human nature. Thank you so much for sharing your insights.
It's been my pleasure. Keep observing, keep questioning, and keep embracing this journey of self-discovery.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us. Keep exploring the laws of human nature and see what you discover about yourself and the world around you.
Thanks for listening. Did you enjoy what you heard? Want to buy this book? Please use the link in the description to support the channel.